Thank you, Madam President, for that warm welcome. Good evening. It is our esteemed pleasure to bring to you Alpha Omicron Zeta Chapter Political Social Action Committee Meet the Candidate Live Forum. I am Connie Portee, chairperson of the AOZ Political Social Action Committee, and our committee members are Beverly Green, Yvonne Henson, Belinda and Javine Williams, Chandra McPherson Gibbs, and Laquanda Baker. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated was founded on the principles of scholarship, service, sisterly love, and final womanhood. And tonight, Alpha Omicron Zeta Chapter is coming to provide service to the citizens of Orangeburg County to allow them to meet the candidate who is running for local office. Our purpose is to provide the community with informed information and to keep them engaged with the political issues that are before us. This is our first 2023 Meet the Candidates Forum, and we're honored tonight to have Mr. Howard Jackson, who is the candidate for the Orangeburg County Council District 5 seat. I will now turn it over to him for his introduction.
Greetings and thank you, Sarah Portee, for that warm introduction. My name is Howard Jackson. I was born, reared here in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Worked here all of my life with a few stints in the military and briefly in Colombia. I'm running for, well, that's a different question, but I just want to say thank you to the ladies of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated for providing this opportunity for me to share my vision with not only you, but with the citizens of Orangeburg County. Again, thank you, ladies, for putting on this chat, and I look forward to the engagement. Again, Sarah Portee, thank you for allowing me the opportunity. Thank you.
You are welcome, Brother Jackson, and thank you for your introduction. We thank you for coming to speak with us tonight. Now here comes the tough part, the questions. But we want you to relax and just have a conversation with us tonight.
Yes.
There is no right or wrong answer because we know and understand that you're not a politician, but because you are embarking on this journey, we just have a few questions that we would like to ask you. And the first question that we have for you tonight is going to be, why are you running for the County Council District 5 seat?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chairperson, for that question. Why am I running for Orangeburg County Council District 5 seat? I've always been engaged in the community. The last few years, I've gotten really engaged, actively engaged. As we all remember, the shooting of George Floyd that happened in Minnesota a few years ago, I was part of a group that helped organize a protest locally here in Orangeburg. And during that process, a lot of the individuals who were involved in that organization asked if I could assist with that program, and we did. And they said, "But why don't you get involved on the election side, on the political side?" And as you mentioned earlier, Sarah Porti, never thought of myself as a politician, and I still don't. I thought I could do more on the other side. But as the years went on, I thought that maybe I can do more if I'm on the elected side. And with the support and encouragement of local brothers, as well as community individuals, they asked if I would throw my hat in a proverbial ring to run for Orangeburg County Council District 5, and I did. Because I think I can make a change to Orangeburg County. And I'm doing this not for Howard Jackson, but for the future of Orangeburg, specifically for the youth who are going to come after us. So that's why I'm running for the seat, Madam Chair.
That is great to know. That's good information to know. My next question is, there are a lot of individuals who have worked with you in the past and have maybe concluded that you have a headstrong leadership style.
Right.
How can you convince the constituents and others that you are willing to listen to them as you make decisions for the county?
Okay, excellent question. My previous positions, I've been in the execution or administration phase, where I worked for a commission, a board, or I had bosses. And doing that role, my job was to execute their vision. Specifically, when I worked in elections, we would have state law that we had to follow and the county ordinances. So there wasn't a lot of wiggle room to make sure for engagement for folks outside of those parameters. So that's what I kind of had to do. And also being served 28 years in the United States Air Force, and being in a leadership position the last 10 years. But moving forward, I was elected 2016 as the 6th district representative, which is a governance type role. When you're in a governance role, you have a little more flexibility. You get to dictate policy. Hopefully, if I'm successful to become the next county council representative in that position, my role is a little flexible then. I can then entertain the views of my constituents and those folks who really didn't vote for me either, but allow them to tell me what are some of the issues. And I'll give you a prime example. The first Divine Nine group that I spoke to was the men of Kappa Alpha Psi. And one of the things that they related to me was that Orangeburg County, the county of Orangeburg, does not have a Parks and Recreation department. That was new to me. I don't know why I didn't know that. The city of Orangeburg does, but the Parks and Recreation department does not. So that's now an integral part of what I talk about moving forward, listening to folks. I don't have all the answers. And I'll be the first one. If I'm the smartest one in the room, I need to change the room I'm in. So we just need to make sure that we listen to everyone and get buy-in from everyone moving forward. So as I move from the administration side, the execution phase, to now the governance side, those are two different sides of that coin. And on the governance side, your first responsibility is to your constituents, to listen to see what they have to say, what their opinions are before we sit down and make an informed decision.
Awesome. That's good. Now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Chandra Gibbs for her questions.
Good evening, Mr. Jackson. How are you?
I'm well. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, thank you. My first question for you, as a new candidate, what do you
Mhm.
feel that you have to offer to your particular constituents, as well as the county as a whole, that is not currently being met by the current council person?
Excellent question. And as I go around speaking to different groups, one of the first things I say is that I'm not running against anyone. I'm running for the seat. And I'm running to be a representative of the folks of District 5. Um, Part of what I would bring is my depth of experience. I mentioned being a regional president. And on that level, I was fortunate enough to be in the South Carolina State House, the governor's mansion, the North Carolina governor's mansion, the North Carolina State House, the legislative Black caucus in D.C. So I have phone numbers, a database of folks that I can reach out to. Again, I don't have all the answers, and I don't want to have all the answers, but having that experience and bringing that depth of experience to Orangeburg County, I think is something different. It's fresh. We can reach out to other folks, benchmark other ideas to see what works. Because even though a county might be large or might be small, there's certain things we can extract from these counties. So being around the state, being around, the southern eastern part of the United States has been huge for my development and growth. And hopefully I can bring that depth and knowledge to Orangeburg County to better serve all the citizens of Orangeburg County.
Okay. If given the opportunity, and again, we have heard, and that has been a consistent theme tonight of making sure that you're serving and bringing resources to our county. If
Yes.
given the opportunity to serve, what would be your top 3 areas of focus and why?
Excellent question. Number one
Thank
would
you.
be number one would be healthcare, not only for the general population of Orangeburg County, but also for the workers who work in Orangeburg County. And I'll focus on the latter first. When I worked in Richland County, one of the things they had was a employee wellness program, where if you were involved in a physical fitness program, if you joined a gym, if you were in yoga, some of those things, even if you smoke, but you were in one of those smoking cessation classes, you didn't have to pay for health insurance. That was huge. And what a motivator. Health insurance is very costly to our county workers. And absenteeism was greatly reduced because folks were more healthy. On the county employee side, just in general, Orangeburg County as a whole, we rank either near the bottom or lower third when it comes to a lot of health disparities. So I want to focus on making Orangeburg County as a whole more healthy, some of those things. So that would be one of my focuses. Other I kind of touched on was the youth programs. I mentioned the county does not have a county rec department. It's hard to say that we want to, engage our youth and, with gang activities and some of these other things when we don't have activities for them to actively be involved in. So that's going to be the other thing that I want to focus on, bringing a lot of activities. When I was a kid, we didn't lack for activities, and I kind of long for those. I don't want to be the old guy, get off my lawn type thing, but there were a lot of things for us to do. And most of us didn't get in trouble because we had a lot of things to do. So as an elected member of Orangeburg County, I want to kind of go back to that. The other piece I want to focus on is technology. There was a young lady at the last county council meeting who mentioned broadband and some other things. But not only that, as I was debating whether I was going to run for the seat, I went on a website and I clicked on the county council portion, the map, because I was trying to see what area specifically I would potentially be representing. But the map was just enlarged. It didn't really give me anything. I know we have a lot of wonderful and talented folks in the technology department at Orangeburg County. And I know if we ask them to do certain things, then they can make that happen. For an example, I should be able to put in my address, pull up my, if I'm in the city, my city representative, I'm in the county council representative, the state representatives, all those folks. I should be able to pull that information up. If we can go to Google and get that information, I'm sure once we click on the Orangeburg County website, we should be able to get that. And I think we can do that. maybe the question just hasn't been asked if we could do that. And again, not only that was a map. I had to go to the building to get a map of the area I'm running for. I should be able to, even if it's a fee, pay that fee online so I can have that interactive map on my desktop as I'm speaking to you tonight. So I can manipulate the map and do some other things. So I think we're still living in this COVID environment. And I think the more we drive folks away from the building as opposed to coming to the building, I think would be beneficial to everyone. So those would be my 3 major focuses right off the bat.
Thank you so very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Porteet?
We do have some questions that are coming in from the chat for you, Brother Jackson. And so one of the questions is, we're going to try to get it pulled up. But it says, if you receive $1 million grant to use for the county any way you wanted, what would you do and why?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I think one of the things I would do, I kind of mentioned the youth programs. We have to invest in the future. I would use those funds, get with the city Parks and Recreation Department, since we don't have one, and see what resources that are lacking in that department that now the county with this $1 million can kind of assist with. Also, I mentioned the last county council meeting, we talked about broadband and bringing some of those things together, putting resources over there to see what would be needed to make that happen sooner rather than later as well. So those would be the 2 main areas I would focus on those. If we had a little more pot of money, Ms. Chairman, I think one of the things I would really love to focus on is this idea of an employee idea program and program which we had in the Air Force, where as an employee, if you came up with a concept, a program that's going to save the county money, once that program is implemented, that employee who came up with that concept would get a percentage of the actualized savings. So it not only saves the county money, it makes all the employees more engaged as well. I never received a check when I was in the Air Force, but it was not from trying, okay? I was really engaged in that program. So those would be the 3 things I think I would focus on with that money.
Okay. The next question is, how do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in our county?
That's an easy one. If I'm elected, I'm going to have quarterly town hall meetings. They could come in person and or virtually. I want the citizens of Orangeburg County to hold me responsible for all my actions. I'm going to have town hall meetings, but I also want to invite them to come to county council meetings. And this is important. Don't just show up when there's an issue that you feel strongly about. We need to show up to all these meetings, so we get a chance to engage on you other than when there's an issue you feel strongly about. So that's going to be my first thing there. And the other thing is to have a 48-hour return policy, which, I mean, if someone reaches out to me via email, text, telephone, whatever, have 48 hours to respond to them, to let them know that, yes, I got your information and this is what we're doing to help resolve your issues. It's not about Howard Jackson. Howard Jackson, is just going to be a conduit for the citizens of Orangeburg County to make sure that their needs are being met in any way that I can do that. I think one of the primary issues that I had before I wanted to run for county council was making sure I had the time to do this. So I made sure that I was clearing stuff off of my plate, because if I don't have the time to be responsive to my constituents, then I don't need to be in the seat. So I wanted to make sure that I had the time to make sure whatever issues that they have, I was going to be able to properly address those issues and get back to them in a timely manner.
All right. Before the other question comes from the chat, I have another question for you, Brother Jackson.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of the constituents or the citizens of Orangeburg County may have said, oh, there's nothing to do here, or there's nothing going on for the youth. Have you thought about, since you decided to become a candidate to run for the county council seat, of any ideas or anything, outside of the recreation, or anything, thoughts have come in mind that you would think that would be beneficial to the youth that are here in the county?
Well, other than the Parks and Recreation idea, we have 2 major universities, and we have a technical college here as well. One of the things I would like to do as well is make sure that we are forming effective collaborations. And when I say that, I think that each of us kind of go after our own individual slice of the pie. I want to make sure we bring the whole pie, and then we can decide how that pie is divided amongst us. In doing so, having these students, our fraternity has a boys camp every year, and 8 to 14-year-old. And amazingly, each year we have a percentage of those boys who have never been on South Carolina State University campus, Claflin University campus, or OC Tech's campus. So there's a gap somehow that our youth aren't either being provided the access to proper education, higher education. And if they, at that age, the camp is 8 to 14. So everyone on this call, we're all college educated folks. And you know, at 14, if you haven't been thinking about college at 14, not saying it's too late, but you're going to be behind the 8 ball in that. So making sure that we engage these folks in all these activities. Not only that, outside of the county, I would love to sponsor some of our kids to a Carolina Panther game, to an Atlanta Braves game. And again, I mentioned the boys camp. We took kids down to Charleston to a museum down there, and a lot of the boys had never been on 26. You know, they mentioned the freeway. This is our first time being on the freeway. So it's about providing access to these kids, exposure to some of these things. Again, when I was growing up in Orangeburg, I was exposed to a lot of things. Every year I was in some type of camp. You know, I thought my mom just wanted to get rid of me out of the house. But now when I was of age, it was easy for me to assimilate and interact with different people because I did it as a child, not only in Orangeburg, but outside of Orangeburg. It's about exposing our kids to different things, new and different things. And I think when the county, in collaboration with the school district and the colleges, can be a part of that. I hope I answered your question, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir, you did. You did answer my question, and that is awesome. We do have another question that's come in. Should be coming up.
Okay.
Do you support closing loopholes that allow individuals convicted of violent misdemeanors to purchase guns?
Absolutely. As a gun owner, I really do. As a responsible gun owner, you know. But let me say this: the Second Amendment is not absolute. Those loopholes absolutely should be closed. We all know what happened down in Charleston a few years ago. As a member of the AME Church, you know, we were all saddened by that shooting death, the shooting death of those parishioners down in Charleston, Mother Emanuel. Whatever we can do to close these loops, to make sure that our kids, when they go to school, they don't have to fear, you know, for their lives. Again, when I was in school, this one thing we never had to worry about, you know, getting shot at school. I can only imagine the trauma and some of the things these kids are going through, and the parents as well. When you send your child to school, not knowing if they're going to make it back home or not. I worked in law enforcement for 5 years as well. I will engage Sheriff Ravenel, also Chief Austin with the city police department to see what we can do collaborative to make some of these things happen. Again, bring all the relevant stakeholders to the table, and let's see what we can do. I know there are some state law and federal laws that we have no control over, but what can we do here in Orangeburg County to help mitigate some of these things? And I mentioned some of these things earlier. You know, one of the things is getting some of these kids off the streets, getting them out of the gang life. You know, they're in gang life because they have nothing else to do, or, you know, these folks are taking time with them. If we took time with some of our kids, maybe it would be different. I would like to go on a little tangent, if I will, Madam Chair. We did an Easter egg hunt during Holy Week, and the guidance counselor said there was a little boy there, African-American, who was being classified as a trouble child because the teacher gave him something to do. He balled it up and threw it in the trash can. And she was nervous, not knowing how to handle him. Well, we came there with our Easter egg hunt. No issues with this young man. He was helping us hide the eggs. Yes, sir. No, sir. Anything else we can have you do. So if we're not engaged, in the community, then we're going to get what we get. But we just need to make sure that as stakeholders, we're not just talking down to these kids, but we're actually going to the schools, being mentors, being sponsors with those kids as well. Sorry to divert from that, but just wanted
No, you're doing a great job, Mr. Jackson. We want you to just have a conversation with us tonight, and
Okay.
and we definitely appreciate your honest and candid feedback with us. Chandra, do you have any other questions for Mr. Jackson?
Yes, I've got a couple
Okay.
as a in two different hats.
Okay.
I especially with and I'll go with this question first. In engaging law enforcement as a law enforcement officer, currently, what are some avenues or what are some ways that you anticipate, if given an opportunity to serve in this capacity, that you anticipate working with that collaboration or building that partnership in that current role, if given that opportunity?
Well, one of the things is, I've been out of law enforcement for a while now. So one of the things, first thing I want to do is have a conversation with both Chief Austin and Sheriff Ravenel to see what they need. What are their, pressing ideas? What type of resources would they need from the county? And how can I help facilitate those things? Because I don't want to come and say, well, I think, this is a issue and we need to do this. And they look at me and like, well, this is what I think we really need to be doing. So part of being engaged is first listening to what the subject experts are telling us. So I want to go have that conversation to listen and then come back to county council and say, this is what this is what they're telling me needs to happen. Now, how can we help facilitate that from our level?
Thank you. My next question, you talked about the county council meetings and not just attending,
Right.
when we have an issue, but being actively engaged. At our most recent county council meeting, myself and some fellow actively engaged sorority sisters attended. And one of the topics that is of great controversy right now, really that is pertaining in your district, is that of the building or the building site of one of our local high schools. And so if you could provide for us and the listeners that are on now and those to come, if you could provide some insight on your stance, on your views as it pertains, or what you would say to your constituents if you were in that current seat, but what would you say to them now as they are dealing with just kind of two different sides of the coin concerning the construction of OW?
Excellent question. So first, let me be candid. My graduating class was the first freshman class at the current Orangeburg Wilkinson High School. So that's about 40 years ago. Okay, so obviously we need a new Orangeburg Wilkinson High School. When the ballot was when the initiative was on the ballot last year, I voted in favor of that. 10 years ago, probably a little longer, I went to a school in Columbia, and the brother there said, "Brother DR, what do you see different about the school?" And I looked around a while, and obviously I couldn't get it. And he said, "There are no lockers." So think about this. That was more than 10 years ago. So Orangeburg Wilkinson High School still has lockers. That was where I want to say this. It was the technology at that high school 10 years ago is far more advanced than we are now. So our kids are at least 10 years behind what the kids at that high school are doing. Okay. So I want to make sure I'm very clear and transparent about the need for a new Orangeburg Wilkinson High School. Okay. Now, as far as a county council meeting, absolutely. The first thing is, and again, I was not involved in some of those conversations behind, executive session and some of those other things that happened. But we are where we are right now. Okay. And this is why representation matters. Who we put on the school board, who we put on county council, because those are our voices. Those are the ones who are going to be executing this new plan for Orangeburg Wilkinson High School. one of the things I would say is stay engaged. Not only I mentioned earlier, don't just come because you wanted to vote and now the vote either went or didn't go your way, and we won't see you again until another controversial issue comes up. But I think if I'm successful, one of the things, as I mentioned, is having these quarterly town hall meetings to make sure that folks are engaged. But back to the new construction of Orangeburg Wilkinson High School, come to the county council meeting next month to see what that process is. Go to the school board meeting next month to see what that process is. Stay engaged in that process because, it's not over. Where, they're still working through some of the minutia of that plan, but stay engaged with that plan. And I trust, I trust the administration for the county of Orangeburg. I trust our, elected leaders. That's who we voted for. And now if they're, as I mentioned for me, if I'm not doing what you asked me to do, hold me accountable. Don't vote for me. Take me out of the seat. But once we vote for you, it's incumbent upon that elected leader to do the will of the people. We talk about what happened in Tennessee a couple weeks ago with those two young men there. It's for the people. This is a people seat. This is not, we don't own any of these seats, and we need to do what the people who voted us here tell us to do. We need to be listening to them. So as far as the New Orangeburg Wilkinson High School, I think the Transportation Commission and all these relevant folks are not going to allow, I hope I'm not being naive, them to put some things in place that are going to severely jeopardize traffic and roads and some of these things. So hopefully those things, if they have not been addressed, will be addressed. And again, the place to voice those concerns, school board meeting, council meeting, moving forward so you can find out. And again, don't just listen to what someone is telling you. Investigate it for yourself so you would clearly understand. I never vote on anything without thoroughly understanding the issues and researching the issues before I make a vote.
Thank you so much for that answer. Ms. Porti?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's a great answer. Your response to that question in reference to not listening, not making a decision until you have all the facts. And that's very important. And we thank you for sharing your answers with us tonight. Is there anything else that's pressing on you, Brother Jackson, that you would like to share with us tonight or with your constituents or those that are watching before we get ready to conclude our forum tonight?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Again, I want to say that I'm not running for the seat for Howard Jackson. I've had, I guess, my 15 minutes of fame, if you will. I wanted to stay out of the spotlight. I didn't want to try to come back into the spotlight. So this is not about Howard Jackson. Trust me on that. It's not about Howard Jackson, but it's about the people that I would be so fortunate enough to represent. But I want to say, if you have any new ideas or things that you think that I need to focus on as we move forward, one of the reasons I wanted to get out early with my campaign is to have these sessions like this, so I can speak to you, but also listen to what you're telling me as well, so we can adjust and make sure that we're building a big tent as we move forward to June 2024. Because again, it's not about me, it's about the constituents. It's about, I'll say this as well, Madam Chair, I was a little disappointed in one of the meetings I went to county council because I was one of the youngest folks there. And again, I'm plus 50, but not seeing a lot of folks who have a horse in a race, who have students who are at Orangeburg Wilkinson High School who will be there engaged in that process. My sincere hope is that they were going to the school board meetings, if not county council meetings, but we all need to be engaged. And I want to, help bring them along as well in this process. Remember, I was the election director, so I got a lot of these numbers running through my head. It was probably less than 10% of the registered voters in this district voted the last election. Wow. I want to change that. I want those numbers to be higher. And my task is to reach out to all the voters of Orangeburg County. I started my neighborhood. I'm going to reach out to everyone in the district. I mentioned the Divine Nine. We're going to go to churches. We're going to touch or try to touch as many folks as possible to let them know who we are, why we're running, and what we plan to do once we're there. Again, my job is to do the will of the people who would eventually send me there. So I just pray to God that we are able to do that. And with your support, I think we'll be able to do that. So I thank you, and hopefully I have your support in June 2024.
Brother Jackson, we just want to thank you for taking the time to come and speak with us tonight. But before we conclude, I have to bring on our chapter president, Madam President Eris Spates, to say a few words before we go. Madam President, you're muted.
Of course I will be. As I was saying, thank you, Brother Jackson. The ladies of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Alpha Omicron Zeta Chapter, are very glad you decided to come on this call tonight to let your constituents know more about what it is that you plan on doing for Orangeburg County. One of the things that I took away from this conversation is the fact that you plan on listening to everyone involved, to gather more information, more facts about what it is that you think would be best for the county, instead of just coming in and doing what it is you feel you need to do. Another thing that hit me was the students is very important. And you kind of touched on it a little bit towards the end when you mentioned the D9. That was going to be my question. How are you going to pull the D9 in to help you accomplish some of your goals within the community? But I was satisfied with your answer. So once again, I would like to thank the chair of our committee, Ms. Porty, and especially our social media chair, on putting this together. Once again, we know if we're not engaged, we don't get the results we need. So, Madam Chair, back in your court.
Thank you, Madam President, for those greetings and letting us know your thoughts on tonight. Again, Brother Jackson, we dearly, sincerely thank you for coming to speak to us tonight and to taking the time to answer the call to serve the citizens of Orangeburg County. A special thanks to our chapter president again, who's always supporting the ALZ Political and Social Action Committee. Thank you to the committee members who came on and your hard work tonight and your support. We thank you. And to our social media chair, Mrs. Margarita Watson Green, we thank you again for always your extraordinary talents. And in closing, to our viewers, as the 2024 election draws near, the ALZ Political and Social Action Committee will continue to have Meet the Candidate forums. As we worked together with the Orangeburg NAACP with Mrs. Barbara Williams, we're asking you to get engaged, to remember to get engaged, to stay informed, know that every vote matters, know that your vote counts. It's no excuses. It doesn't matter. We need your vote. And we are stronger together. Always remember that. And we thank you for joining us tonight. And we will see you later.